just let him know, like, hey, I can't let you get any closer. Now, I take a fighting stance, right? I tossed my sunglasses up in the air, and he looks at them with his eyes, and that was enough time for me to step. And then this is when I snatched up his arm for a north-south Kimura position.
Welcome to Fight City Gym Talk. You are here with Eric Wallin and Aaron Barive. So, Aaron came up to me after class and told me about this fight he got into on the beach in Miami.
Correct, yeah, it was in Miami.
And I was like, this is a fantastic story. And really one point that I always talk about, and I want your guys' opinion on this, is self-defense better or is training for competition better for self-defense? So it's a weird way to think about it, right? Like I could train for self-defense and be like, if he does this, then I do that. If he does this, then I do that, right? Or I could just train to beat other athletes in competition. And if I had to use that in self-defense, I would and I could. And what's better for self-defense? Competition training or self-defense training? And I'll let you guys hash that out in the comment section. But with that in mind, let's talk to Aaron, who is very active in jiu-jitsu. Basically, you coach the Friday class, right?
Correct, yeah.
Yeah, so he coaches the Friday no-gi class. And to give you a little bit of background on Aaron's jiu-jitsu here, is he doesn't just do it, he obsesses over it. And I can tell by the way he talks about it and practices and trains it that he's a student at home watching video and studying video, and he's also a student here. He goes to Mitch's classes, he's been to my classes, but he's also now teaching. So with all that being said, he's a very experienced jiu-jitsu practitioner, and you're a blue belt, right?
Correct.
And he's a blue belt. So very experienced, very obsessive with jiu-jitsu. Now that sets the stage. Let's hear the story.
All right, so we were in Miami, and it was my last day too in Miami, right? Like last day, we wanted to get one more afternoon at the beach, right? So we would put up a big pavilion, and it was me, my wife, our 2 kids, and my in-laws, right? So all of us just at the beach. So what was going on is there was this guy who was harassing this mother and her son, who were just kitty corner of us, right? Making threats at them, gesturing at them.
Real quick, did he look like he was maybe drunk on drugs, something to that effect?
He wasn't stumbling. I suspected drugs, right? But he wasn't stumbling. He wasn't slurring his words, but he was making death threats and violent gestures towards them.
I just always tell people in self-defense, like, you typically don't find or have to fight someone that's sober with all their wits about them. Yeah. Like in my mind, when I think about self-defense, it's like, I'm not going to be fighting another really good MMA fighter. I'm going to be fighting someone that's never fought before, probably drunk and probably on drugs. But go on.
Yeah, you're not wrong. So yeah, the mother and her son, we'd seen them at the beach multiple times before, right? So they were kind of familiar with us, and so she asked to come sit with my family and I. And this guy, right, he continues to pace back and forth, says like, well, I'm not going to let you get away, gesturing at them, goes off a little bit.
Wow.
We're right next to a lifeguard tower. My wife, she goes up to like talk to them like, hey, can you radio in the police? There's just this short woman there who radios them in, don't know when they're going to get there. She comes back. The guy starts approaching closer. I'm sitting on the ground talking to the mother and her son, my daughter, and he starts approaching. I asked my wife for my sunglasses, and this will be relevant, I promise. Put on my sunglasses, and he continues to start coming over. My father-in-law stands up, and he's only like 5'6", he's 55 years old, not in bad shape for his age, but by no means a fighter. This guy is 6'4", I'm 6'2", he's taller than me, and he continues to approach. Now, what I was really nervous about is that he was wearing baggy cargo pants.
Right. And a lot of people, I conceal carry, and a lot of people are like, Eric, you're a pro fighter, why would you conceal carry? And it's like, I don't want AIDS. I don't want to get stabbed with a needle. I don't want to get bit by some ravenous homeless guy. I would rather just be able to settle it with a firearm and not shoot, but maybe just leave me alone and leave it there. I don't want to fight outside of the the gym and outside of the fight. So I get it. Cargo pants would have made me really nervous as well.
Oh yeah. And I had gotten into dumb fights in high school, right? But you know that there's always this air of safety. There's always a teacher, there's always other people to bring it up. But in this situation, right, like I didn't know what this guy had. And in any other context, I always try to de-escalate. It's why I haven't been in a actual serious fight since high school until recently. And it's because you never know what the other person has. You don't know if they have friends. It's just best to avoid things. But here it was kind of, I had to stand my ground. He's approaching. My little kids are nearby. I have like a 4-year-old and almost 2-year-old, this mom and her son. There was nowhere really to go. We were in a corner, right? So that was the context where it's like, okay, I gotta stand my ground here. So anyways, he continues to get closer. And so I'm standing all the way up and I stretch out my hand and just let him know like, hey, I can't let you get any closer. Now, I definitely ripped that off Chael Sonnen, who did that back in the day. And that popped into my head, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, hey, I can't let you get any closer. So my hand's outstretched, but I take a fighting stance, right? I'm not just, my feet are parallel together. I go into a fighting stance, my hand's back here. I also take my sunglasses off with my right hand. And he starts like, I'm gonna kill you. And it's like, okay, well, I can't let you get any closer. As soon as his chest made contact with my hand, I tossed my sunglasses up in the air and he looks at them with his eyes. And that was enough time for me to step and nail him with an overhand right.
Straight out of the movies. It's like something Jack Reacher would do, just boom. But go on, sorry.
Yeah, no, it's just a lot of weird things were popping in my head that day. Like I remember my uncle had like a conversation with me, seemed like some Steven Seagal type stuff back when I was 12, right? And so I was like, okay, I want, and it worked, right? And I was like, oh, thank God, I dropped him with one hit.
Now here's the thing, guys. He doesn't have any video of this, but he's got some pictures, and as he's talking, I'm going to put these pictures up so you can see the pictures of it. Now, here's the deal. If someone else that he doesn't know, because as far as your family, they didn't get any video.
Correct.
But if there was a passerby that did get video, just remember, when it goes viral, you heard about it here first from the source. But go on.
Thanks. Yeah, no, so I get really lucky. I drop him in one hit, so I was like, oh, thank God. So I go knee on belly, and I just start wailing him with my left hand right in the face. Now, again, I haven't done striking in forever, but I was punching him with my big two knuckles, just hitting him over and over in the nose. He starts to turn. I guess I started hitting him in his orbital. I say I guess because it'll make sense later. And he kept turning, and then this is when I snatched up his arm for a north-south Kimura position. And I told him to stop moving. He continues to try to turtle, and I pop his arm with the Kimura. And then he finally stops moving.
And then how long did you have to sit on him till the police got there? Or did he settle down and you were able to get off before the police got there? How'd that pan out?
Yeah, it's a good question. I was on him for probably almost like 15 minutes just sitting on his head.
Kidding.
Yeah. Ocean Rescue were the first to come up. They actually saw everything transpire. It's like, well, wish you guys would have had my back,
like,
right?
Why didn't you come? If 4 of those guys would have stepped up and said, hey, will you leave these? He probably would have de-escalated everything right then and there.
Yeah,
If 4 authoritative type people with uniforms on said, hey, you don't have permission to do this anymore, you're going to have to leave. Like, it probably would have de-escalated that fast.
Yeah, I had no idea they were there the whole time until my wife mentioned that they pulled up shortly. Like,
thanks for the help, guys.
Yeah, thanks for the help. You know who you are. Anyways, and then the paramedics arrive, and they also asked me just to stay seated on his head until the cops arrive. And then, yeah, so I'm there for probably about 15 minutes, and then the cops come up and they put handcuffs on him and sit him up. And this is when I first got a look at his face, and I mean, I definitely hit him harder than I thought. My knuckles were super sore, adrenaline was pumping, but I mean, his eye was like swollen shut out to here. It was just one big slit. His nose was the wrong way, bleeding. Yeah, it was not a good sight for him, but yeah.
The thing that I thought was interesting is I started out talking about how Aaron here is obsessed with jiu-jitsu, grappling.
Yeah.
But how did you start the fight?
Yeah, I started it with striking.
And it was simple. Like in boxing, you don't just go in, cross, right? With boxing, double jab, high, low. We're moving in, we're moving out. We're setting things up so we can finally hit that power shot. In boxing, you don't get to wear sunglasses. So it's like he knows you're trying to punch him in boxing. So what do? We do other things, feints, head movements, duck, slip, roll, and were just doing things to try to get their hands to go up, to go down, to open up a shot. And in street fighting, here's the deal. If you didn't train martial arts, how well would you have had your thought process together to where you're like, I'm going to put my sunglasses on. I'm going to throw them in the air. I'm going to hit them. Like, and all I'm getting at with that is like, if you train martial arts, you're less nervous and you can see the whole picture. If you train martial arts and you're more of like a competitor type guy. If you don't train martial arts and you don't test your skill set, because even just in practice, even if you're like, I'm not going to compete on the weekends, but like, I'm going to live roll all the time. I'm going to live spar all the time. When you're in these scenarios, because you always live spar, you're less nervous, you see more, and your reaction time will be faster. Like people don't realize that when you get into a fight, it's tunnel vision all the time, where it's like all you see is like kill or be killed, and you don't have a chance to think outside of the box. So I love that story with flipping the sunglasses in the air and hitting them. That's to me, that shows that you were calm, you were able to think about things, think outside the box. I feel like you did a lot of good things. Hand out, was clear in your speech. Don't come any closer, or you say, I can't let you get any closer.
Yeah.
Something to that effect.
A la Chael Sonnen.
Yeah, thanks, Chael. So with that being said, it's like, I just feel like this story was a great example of so many things that can be considered when we talk about self-defense. And I stand behind self-defense or just train martial arts. So if you're grappling all the time and sparring all the time, you're just kind of ready, and your mind is kind of ready, and you don't get as nervous.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Like, it allows you to really like channel your adrenaline instead of your adrenaline just controlling you.
I like that. Channel your adrenaline. Don't let your adrenaline control you. Aaron, fantastic story. Hope you guys enjoyed the picture. In one of those pictures, he almost looked like had his model face going. So hope you guys enjoyed the picture. Hope you enjoyed the story. You'll notice some blood and stuff in the sand. But fantastic, guys. Keep training. And remember, if you ask me, that's where self-defense really, where the rubber meets the road. Train all the time, guys. Anyway, don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll talk to you later.